You know what, guys? I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I gotta say, being a YouTuber seems pretty amazing. Like, think about it. You get to create the content you're passionate about, get paid lots of money, depending if you're advertiser friendly of course, and have a loyal fanbase that'll treat you with the utmost respect and kindness. But sometimes, if a creator is very passionate and very lucky, they have the pristine privilege of becoming a YouTube celebrity, where they pump out a ton of videos with no effort and somehow get onto the trending page. Companies and brands will hire them to promote their products, and they can even get featured on YouTube Rewind. K-pop! Yeah, that was a thing.
Fortnite.
But I think the biggest point in every YouTuber's career is when they make the jump from the internet to the movies. Many YouTubers have attempted to either write, direct, or star in their own big movie, and about 90% of the time, these movies tend to be awful. Like, ungodly awful. If you were on YouTube from like 2014 to 2019, it felt like nearly every big YouTube celebrity had their own movie. Smosh had their own movie with Smosh The Movie, the Fine Brothers made F the Prom, Shane Dawson made Not Cool, David Dobrik starred in FML, FusiTube and Lele Pons starred in We Love You, KSI starred in Laid in America, and of course Logan Paul made Airplane Mode, which happens to be a parody of the 1980 movie Airplane, and he somehow took everything that made that movie hilarious and made it terrible.
How would you like it?
Like I like my women, black and full of cream.
Also, Fred had a movie, I guess. There are so many of these movies that are just pure and utter garbage, and I watched so many of these damn movies, and after all my suffering, I just had one question to ask. How are these all so terrible? Well, I thought about it for a while. I decided that I'll pour all my emotions onto a Google Doc page and make a video discussing these YouTuber movies and why they are so bad. Now, I won't be ranking or reviewing all the movies mentioned here since I honestly don't have the strength, but I will be discussing a lot of them and also talk about why YouTuber movies are just a plague onto society. Now, I am aware that there are some good movies made by YouTubers, but the bad movies really outweigh the good movies by a ton, so I'll mainly be discussing the bad ones. Also, as usual, I don't personally hate these creators. Well, some of them at least. I'm just talking about the terrible movies they made, and maybe shit on them if they deserve it. Got it? Great. Let's begin!
Fuck off!
Now, trying to figure out why all these movies are bad is a bit tricky since at a first glance, these movies seem very different from each other. But as I kept watching them, I started to notice a pattern that I could not stop thinking about. Most of these movies are comedies aimed for a teenage audience, they heavily use social media, there's a lot of raunchy jokes, they typically have small budgets with somewhat amateur filmmaking, and the acting can range from being incredibly stilted to incredibly annoying.
Give me your dick!
Almost all of these YouTuber movies follow this formula, and I don't think it was an accident. Kids who watch Logan Paul clearly get entertainment from his type of humor, his humor being loud, annoying, and offensive, and Logan definitely knew what type of humor his fans enjoyed. So in his movie Airplane Mode, a lot of the characters are either yelling, being annoying, and there's a lot of offensive jokes that could entertain a 12-year-old, but to everyone else, the humor just comes off as being offensive for the sake of shocking the audience. This can also apply to Shane Dawson's movie, Not Cool. Back in the old days of YouTube, Shane Dawson was known for his highly offensive videos, and back then it may have been somewhat entertaining to a few people. But looking back, it's so obvious that Shane is trying desperately to get a laugh from his viewers by doing a lot of edgy stuff. And the exact same thing can be said for his movie, Not Cool. And I'm gonna be 100% honest right here, this was one of the most painful viewing experiences I have ever been through. They try to fire so many crude and offensive jokes at the viewers, and they all come off as Shane Dawson trying so hard to get a few desperate laughs from the audience. Like, do you want to see a homeless man eat a pile of shit? No? Well, Shane Dawson clearly thinks it's hilarious. Do you like characters making loud and obnoxious sex jokes? Well, this is the movie for you. Honestly, this movie is probably one of the worst YouTuber movies I have ever seen. With the other YouTuber movies, there are some small enjoyable aspects, and I do mean small aspects. But Not Cool is just pure pain and misery. Doesn't help that Shane Dawson was a total dick behind the scenes and made life a living hell for everyone on sets. Fuck Shane Dawson. Now, not all of these movies are made by shitty YouTubers. Smosh is a channel that I genuinely enjoyed as a kid, and I still kind of enjoy them. Mainly their older videos, their newer stuff is not really for me. But hey, Anthony returned, so that's kind of awesome. But back on track, in 2015 they decided to make Smosh the Movie, which doesn't really have any connection to the Smosh series. Like, Ian and Anthony play each other, but they're in a different house and they don't seem to be the same characters as the series. But let's not think about all that. I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, but I kind of enjoyed this film when it came out. It mainly has to do with the fact that when this film first came out, I was a dumb 11-year-old who was obsessed with Smosh. So this movie was kind of perfect for me. Looking back, the film is just a bland comedy with phony acting, annoying internet references, and a generic plot that almost anyone can predict. The filmmaking is also very amateur with terrible effects and animations. The only somewhat enjoyable part is Ian's acting. I like his character a lot in the film, and it's clear that he's really trying his best. Anthony, on the other hand, yeah, not good. For some weird reason, Anthony's played off as the straight man while Ian's the insane one, when that just isn't true. In the original series, both Ian and Anthony were insane. Like, why would they make Anthony the straight man? It just makes the movie worse. It would have been better if they were both insane, but for some reason they changed it because, oh, it's a Hollywood movie, we gotta be like other Hollywood movies. There's nothing else I can say about the film really. It's the definition of a generic YouTuber movie. Like, we got lazy filmmaking, bad acting, comedy that panders to dumb teenagers, and lots of social media references. But after watching the Smosh movie, I started to notice a pattern with these movies, and it mainly has to do with the people behind these movies. The Smosh movie was directed by Alex Winters, and it was written by Steve Marmel and Eric Falconer. These guys are fairly old men who probably know nothing about Smosh. Alex Winters was 50 years old when he directed the Smosh movie, and from what I can tell, Ian and Anthony only have executive producer credits. They weren't even involved with writing the screenplay. Like, if you're gonna make a movie about Smosh, then you should maybe have the two main guys be involved with writing the script, or at least give them some creative control. This could also be said for another YouTuber movie, F the Prom. While it doesn't star any YouTube personalities, at least none that I know, it was created by the Fine Brothers, with Benny Fine directing it. You may know the Fine Brothers as the guys who made the React videos. Now, F the Prom is meant to be a teen comedy film set in high school that's inspired by other teen films like Mean Girls and The Breakfast Club. The only issue is that the film was written by two 40-year-old men who haven't been to high school since the fucking Stone Age. The best way to describe this film is that it's very out of touch, out of time. But I'm out of my head when you're not around. Like, these 40-year-old men are trying so hard to relate to their teenage audience. Oh my god, isn't high school so lame? Man, look at the principal, isn't she so funny? She acts like a high school teen. Oh my god, this guy's dad is so creepy, am I right? The prom is so lame, guys. Fuck the prom, yeah. You know, maybe I don't relate to this film because I live in Ireland, and secondary school is very different when compared to high school in America. So maybe I'm out of touch, who knows. But regardless, what I notice is that a lot of these YouTuber movies are meant to relate to a teenage audience, but most of the time they're made by much older filmmakers who don't really understand YouTube or what teens find funny. So they just throw a load of jokes at the wall and pray a good joke will stick. Another film that has the same issues is FML. It's about a middle-aged comedian played by Jason Nash, and a social media star played by Brandon Calivillo. I think I got that right. And they go on a wacky road trip where they try and become social media famous, and yeah, I think you can guess what the film is about. The film solely relies on making social media references, and Jason Nash, who not only starred in the film, but is also the writer and director, is a 50-year-old man trying to make a movie to relate to a teenage audience. I will say that Jason does seem to be a somewhat competent writer and director, and he is a YouTuber where he does podcasts, and he was even part of David Dobrik's Vlog Squad. But once again, the movie fails to be even remotely funny, with it coming off as Jason trying so hard to be hip with the teens. But there are some YouTuber movies where the creators have a hand in writing, producing, and even directing. Does this make the movies any better? Ha ha ha! No. A lot of these YouTube personalities can often be inexperienced when it comes to making movies, so when they're given the task of writing or directing a movie, they usually just do the bare minimum and stick with the jokes that their audience find funny. To some of their fans, there may be a bit of enjoyment, but to the average moviegoers who don't know who these creators are, it can be incredibly annoying. Going back to Airplane Mode, both Logan and Jake Paul are credited as writers, and all they have written previously was some YouTube content, so giving them the task of writing a feature film isn't easy. Same can be said for Shane Dawson. While he didn't write the script for Not Cool, he was the main director and also producer, and it was said that he had a lot of creative freedom with this project, so he definitely made some edits to the script. Shane Dawson was also inexperienced with filmmaking, only being involved with making some YouTube stuff, and when someone like Shane Dawson is given a budget of $800,000 and complete creative control, it's gonna be a mess. So back to what this video was originally about. I think the main reason YouTuber movies tend to fail is due to the people behind the film being out of touch with the target audience, or the main YouTubers in general just not knowing how to translate their videos into a movie. Humor is always changing and will continue to change, and it can't be easy trying to get a successful YouTuber, then trying to replicate their success into a movie, but it's the fact that these movies try so desperately to be entertaining when all they're doing is coming across as pandering and annoying. I do believe that some of these creators want to make a good movie. It's not like they went out of their way to make an awful film, but most of the time producers just want to make an easy buck by sticking a big YouTuber onto a film, knowing that the YouTuber's audience will watch it regardless of the quality. But it's not all terrible. The Angry Video Game Nerd movie was fine, I guess? Even if it's not a fantastic film, there was clearly a lot of passion behind it. And YouTubers like Chris Stuckman and Markiplier are making their own movies that do have a lot of potential. So who knows, we could be heading into a golden era of YouTube movies. All I'm gonna say is, Hollywood, if you're looking for a cool hip YouTuber for a new movie, hit me up and we can arrange something. Possibly a Zach Quinn Netflix series? I know that Netflix is desperate for anything, so you know, we can make this happen, it could be good. Come on, please? Nah, forget it, just roll the outro.